Hi, Sean. Okay, so addressing your tighter hips, which obviously all of that intense running, that repetitive motion that you're doing is not helping matters. So I would be really cognizant of stretching for extended periods of time after your runs, obviously. But so starting to address some of those issues, I would suggest doing some yin postures. I don't know how much they taught you in your training about yin postures, but instead of stretching the muscles, which are easy to do in our vinyasa practice when our muscles are nice and warm, but the yin postures being more passive, and you want to practice them when actually your body is cool. And then when you hold the postures, you'll notice initially you have sensation. Those are your muscles starting to react to the stretch. And then you'll notice the longer that you stay there, they'll dissipate somewhat, those feelings. And then they'll start to come back and they'll be a little more intense. And that means that you've gotten to the fascia, the fascial body that covers everything. It's been described like tight cellophane, and restricts the movement because it is inflexible and hard to get to. So getting into the connective tissue, getting into the fascia, hopefully will help to loosen up some of the muscles in your hips. I'm sure your legs are super tight as well from all the running. So my thoughts on that, like I said, would be some yin postures. So setting some time aside at least a few times a week, gearing up for those crazier postures that we're going to try later on, and then also stretching through your feet as well, because tighter tendons in our feet, as they get smaller and tighter and more compact as we age, pull down through the hamstrings on all the way down, and they can tighten our hips. And then before I show you those yin postures, I'll show you a toe stretch, which is uncomfortable, but will hopefully help to loosen up some of that stuff on the soles of your feet. And then, also I was going to say, if you sleep in the fetal position, then I would recommend placing a pillow in between your legs to get your hips more in line. When one knee is going down all night like that, to lay on the other knee and your hip is up here, it's been shown to tighten your piriformis. So that might help as well. And then when you wake up in the morning, you can take a spinal twist just like we do on our mat. So laying down, arms to a T. This top leg though, you're going to be on the edge of your bed, and this top leg is going to actually fall off the side of the bed as you're laying staring at the ceiling all the way down. And then that'll help you get a little bit more rotation through the IT band and a little bit more rotation through the spine as well. So working with that stretch in bed, and then also, just coming into a squat, coming into that toe stand, getting the pinky toe in it. And so you can come here, you could open up the knees, obviously, and come into a yogi squat and get that little added bonus of opening up through the inner thighs and the outer hips. But you can also just come here as well. And then the next step, you can grab a block. Or if you don't have blocks, you can always use a shoe box. Same exact size pretty much, or you could use a pillow or anything to pad your knees, but you want to bring your knees forward, keep your toes tucked, and stay here as long as you can, and increase this every day. And believe it or not, this is going to help loosen up your hips as well. So staying here and eventually moving the block, moving the pillows so that your knees are all the way on the ground, and then increasing your time here. And then whenever you bring your knees forward, I'm sure you went over this in your teacher training, you don't want your knees going really past your hips too much here. Keep you nice and safe. So for the yin postures, I would definitely come into a seated forward fold. I would come into Paschimottanasana, and in the yin practice, you don't have to engage the muscles. You actually want to make them nice and loose. You can even slump a little bit here. As long as you have space in the front of the body to breathe, you're fine. You don't have to flex or point your feet, but you do want to try and stay for about 5 minutes folded over and really become aware of those sensations as they come, as they dissipate, and then as they start all over again. And it's a nice way to check in, make sure, that you are getting past the muscles. You can feel it. It comes and it's a lot more intense. And, that feeling will stay with you as you release. So Paschimottanasana, I would come into this several times a week. Again, staying for at least 5 minutes if you can. And then Also, you can come into frog pose, especially if you have wood floor. You might want to place your knee on a towel, slide it away. Wide-legged child's pose is fine as well. Or coming all the way down into your frog pose. Staying there, I would start maybe with a 2 minutes. 2 minutes is going to seem pretty intense, so I would take that one really slow. And then I would come into, you're probably familiar with this sequence, but taking one leg forward, coming into a lizard variation. I think it's called a one-winged dragon or swan pose. I'm not sure which one in yin, but whatever, the effects are the same. So getting into the inner leg, try not to roll and twist. You know, we often take a lot of variations in our vinyasa practice. This one, we want to try to find the stretch and then hold the pose. When you're ready, after 3 to 5 minutes, I would walk the foot to the middle and then begin to walk yourself back, taking a little bit of a half split here. So now really, you know, you can let this foot go, but do feel the back of the leg stretching all the way from those 3 muscles making up your hamstring all the way down into your calf muscle. And while you're here, you can also give yourself a little massage on your feet if you wanted to. Hang out here 3 to 5 minutes, walk the hands forward, find a low lunge, heel toe the foot, and finding your half pigeon with that front leg parallel to the front of the mat. I would come here 3 to 5 minutes, sleep it forward, and then come up and maybe for a minute or so grab that back leg and add on that little extra bit of quad stretch here. And hopefully all of those things will help you to open and soften up. And then when you feel ready, you can swing that front leg forward. Oftentimes when people come from the half pigeon and then they come into the fire log or the full pigeon, they take this leg on top. But the leg on top is the one getting the stretch from the hip. So I would switch it out if I were you. I'm stretching my right outer hip here. I want to keep the stretch there. I'm intensifying it. So when I swing this leg forward, pick up the front leg and place it on top, trying to get that knee over ankle, ankle over knee. And again, you don't have to flex the feet on this one. Walk it forward. Hold here 3 to 5 rounds of breath. So pick and choose the ones that maybe you don't like and really start to add those in. But like I said, I would do this several times a week, as much as you can. And just one more, maybe when you're brushing your teeth, just a little bit more of an active posture. But you know, anytime you're standing and you're not in public, I mean, feel free to do it in public. People might stare at you. But you know, crossing one ankle over, this is kind of a good one. And then sinking into that Utkatasana. Grab a toothbrush, brush your teeth here, right? 1 minute on each side, and really get into the hips. So, all right, hopefully we can start to loosen those up so we can get you into some of those crazy poses. But don't lose sight of why you wanted to do this, which was not to get in the crazy poses, but to find out who you become on your way there. So enjoy. Let me know if you have questions. This is a long one, so sorry about that. Have a great week.